Which of you is in charge?
Yo, bitch, if you're a cop, we got nothing to say.
Who has lost his brother?
The fucker, you do see I got a loaded gun, right?
Is
The film opens with a band performing at a cafe on an island called Island. The cafe owner, Alvarez, is especially fond of the lead singer, Nora. He is so impressed by her beauty and voice that he invites her to sit with him and compliments her talent. Wanting her to stay, he offers her a 1-year contract with triple pay to perform at the cafe every Saturday night. Nora is thrilled and quickly accepts the offer. Alvarez then asks a bartender to bring her some wine. Unfortunately, the bartender accidentally spilled wine on Nora's dress. Nora wasn't upset and said she could change clothes, but Alvarez was furious. He was expecting an important guest and didn't want them to see someone with a stained dress. In a shocking act of cruelty, he killed the bartender right in front of Nora. She was horrified and realized that Alvarez was a dangerous man. It turned out he was actually the leader of a powerful mafia in the U.S., and he had been living on the island for 4 years to expand his illegal operations. The scene then shifts to Los Angeles, where we meet the sheriff, Mark, and his deputy, Phil. At first, they appeared to be law enforcers, but in reality, they are corrupt and planning to carry out shady deals at the airport. Their plan unfolds just as a real drug dealer and his crew arrive. Mark meets with the dealer to seize illegal goods, while Phil gets ready to hand over the money. Suddenly, Phil turns on the dealer's crew and starts a major fight. In the middle of the chaos, Mark's phone rings. It's a call from his mother back home, telling him that his brother has been found dead. After hearing the devastating news, Mark rushed back to his hometown, which was actually located on an island. He attended his brother's funeral and was shocked to learn that his brother was the bartender killed by Alvarez. Their mother was heartbroken over the loss of her youngest son. Rumors spread that gang members may have killed him on his way home from work. Surprisingly, Alvarez and 2 of his henchmen also showed up at the funeral to offer their condolences to Mark. After the funeral, Mark and his mother returned home. While looking through old photos, he realized it had been 11 years since he last set foot on the island, having stayed away because of his duties as sheriff. Determined to avenge his brother's death, he visited the island's police station the next day. There, he met the local sheriff, B, who was also his childhood friend. B offered his condolences and promised to begin investigating the case. Mark asked if there were any leads on the killer. B said the suspects were gang members, but it would take time to identify which group was responsible because many gangs operated on the island. While there, Mark unexpectedly ran into Aquila, a martial arts instructor, and his ex-girlfriend. She was happy to see him again after 11 years and offered her condolences for his brother's death. Mark asked Aquila about his brother's habits and whether any gangs might be involved. She wasn't sure, as many gangs appeared after Mark left the island. However, she mentioned that his brother had worked for an American named Alvarez. She revealed that Alvarez was not who he seemed. He was actually a mafia boss. His cafes were just a front, and his real business involved illegal goods and weapons. Hearing this, Mark began to suspect Alvarez and decided to confront him. Before leaving, Mark asked Aquila to take his mother home and look after her, fearing for her safety. He then went to Alvarez's cafe but was initially stopped by Alvarez's right-hand man. Alvarez eventually allowed him in. Mark quickly asked if Alvarez knew who was behind his brother's death. Alvarez made up a story claiming the Outsiders gang killed Mark's brother after a night shift. Mark didn't believe him and warned that he wouldn't forgive him if he was involved. Alvarez dismissed the threat with a laugh, seeing Mark as just an ordinary cop. Alvarez then told Mark about a cafe where local thugs often gathered and suggested he question them, as they might know who killed his brother. After Mark left, Alvarez secretly ordered his right-hand man to gather northern gang members to take Mark out that night. Meanwhile, Mark visited his best friend, who ran a hot dog stand, and asked about some weapons he had left behind. His friend said he had buried them in an abandoned building near the beach. As the story unfolded, it became clear that Mark and his friend were once like island leaders during their teenage years. After Mark left for Los Angeles, the island became a target for foreign gangs and the Mafia. Mark's best friend knew he would seek revenge for his brother's death and promised to help whenever needed. Mark then went to the abandoned building near the beach and dug up the weapons his friend had buried. That evening, he went to the cafe Alvarez had mentioned. He turned off the music and confronted the thugs about his brother's murder. They denied the accusation and attacked him, leading to a fight.
Cop, we got nothing to say.
Now, my brother
You're not a cop, you're in the wrong fucking place.
always lost his brother.
The fucker, you do see I got a loaded gun.
Is
Mark skillfully overpowered the thugs and demanded again to know who was behind his brother's death. The gang leader strongly denied harming any locals. Suddenly, a group of northern thugs sent by Alvarez stormed in and opened fire on Mark. He narrowly escaped, triggering a wild chase. During the pursuit, Mark managed to capture one of the attackers, then found a hiding spot and stayed hidden until the gang lost track of him. Soon after, the gang leader called Alvarez to report that they had lost track of Mark. Furious, Alvarez ordered them to kill Mark's mother. The gang broke into Mark's house and shot at what they thought was her sleeping figure, but it turned out to be just a pillow. Aquila had taken precautions and moved Mark's mother to safety. Later, Mark and Sheriff B examined the scene. Mark couldn't stop thinking that if he hadn't trusted Aquila, his mother might have been killed. Aquila informed Mark that a source had shared new information about his brother's murder. A witness, a singer named Nora, had seen what happened. Sheriff B added that Nora was staying at a motel near the church, in room 18, and suggested Mark speak with her directly. The next day, Mark went to Nora's room. At first, she was hesitant to open the door, fearing he might be one of Alvarez's men. Mark quickly showed his police badge to assure her he wasn't a threat. Nora eventually opened up, and she and Mark talked. Mark promised to help her leave the island safely if she revealed who killed the bartender, his brother. Nervously, Nora admitted that Alvarez had killed him just for spilling wine on her dress. She explained that Alvarez had kept her trapped on the island, fearing she might go to the police. After learning the truth, Mark quickly took Nora out of the room and met with B. He then asked B to escort her to the dock and make sure she left the island safely. Nora was safely taken to the dock, while Mark began planning his revenge against Alvarez for his brother's death. Meanwhile, Alvarez ordered his trusted mercenaries to find Mark. A few hours later, they arrived on the island and headed straight to Mark's house. At the time, Mark's mother and Aquila were there. Mark had planned to leave his mother in Aquila's care while he confronted Alvarez. Suddenly, a car approached. It was the mercenaries. Mark quickly grabbed his weapons and led his mother and Aquila to the back of the house. Two mercenaries stayed by the car, while the other two entered the house. Two of the mercenaries noticed signs that Mark had gone behind the house and began chasing him. During the pursuit, they caught up with Mark, leading to a shootout. Meanwhile, the other two mercenaries guarding the car were also caught in a gunfight, but were eventually driven off by B. Mark managed to take down one of the attackers, while the other escaped. B later contacted Mark, who said he was keeping his mother and Aquila safe at his best friend's hot dog stand. The scene then shifted to Alvarez and his right-hand man searching for Nora in a hotel room. Alvarez was furious when he found out Nora was gone and killed the hotel guard for failing to protect her. Meanwhile, Mark went to his best friend's house and left his mother and Aquila there, determined to take revenge on Alvarez. The hot dog vendor warmly welcomed them. As Mark prepared to leave, Aquila insisted on going with him. Despite his attempts to convince her otherwise, she remained determined, and they ultimately decided to face the danger together. That night, Mark and Aquila waited for Sheriff B to arrive as part of their plan. B showed up in his car but didn't get out, so Mark and Aquila went to check on him and were shocked to find him badly wounded. Suddenly, gunfire erupted. It was an ambush by Alvarez's remaining 3 mercenaries. In the chaos, the mercenaries captured Aquila while Mark tried to help the dying B. With his last breath, B urged Mark to keep fighting for justice and save the island from Alvarez's cruelty. The next day, at a church, local residents gathered for a service. Mark arrived and passionately urged the community to unite against the oppression caused by outsiders. He called on them to stand together and confront Alvarez, the criminal behind the island's illegal activities. Mark reminded them that not only his brother, but also Sheriff B and Aquila had suffered because of Alvarez. Moved by his words, the townspeople agreed to join forces and rise up against Alvarez. Mark then went to the police station, where he temporarily took over as sheriff. He gathered the officers and made Alvarez their top priority. While searching for more information on Alvarez, Mark was approached by his partner from Los Angeles, Phil, who had come to find out why he'd been gone so long. Mark explained he wouldn't return until Alvarez, who killed his brother and was holding Aquila hostage, was brought to justice. Phil agreed to help Mark, treating the situation as his own. Later that afternoon, Alvarez contacted Mark, having realized Mark was behind Nora's escape. He proposed a meeting at 7 a.m. the next day to exchange Aquila. Alvarez promised to leave Mark alone if he agreed to forget everything. Though Mark reluctantly accepted the terms, he knew he could never forgive Alvarez without getting revenge. With Nora already off the island, Mark also knew she couldn't be part of the exchange. The next morning, Mark contacted Phil and asked him to lead a team of local officers to rescue Aquila from Alvarez. Phil agreed to the plan. While Mark waited at the designated meeting spot with Alvarez at 7 a.m., Phil and his team moved to infiltrate Alvarez's hideout. There, they encountered one of Alvarez's mercenaries, but Phil quickly neutralized the threat. Back with Mark, he now faced Alvarez and one of his top men.
Hands up.
Alvarez quickly demanded to know where Nora was. Mark lied, saying she would arrive once Aquila was there, stalling for time while anxiously waiting for news from Phil. Meanwhile, Phil had located Aquila but was held at gunpoint by a mercenary. With limited options, he surrendered. Fortunately, they soon managed to eliminate the mercenaries and secure Aquila's safety.
Get the gun!
All right, hey, take the gun out.
Guns!
Okay, Basio.
Phil informed Mark that Aquila was safe. Mark then told Alvarez that Nora was in Los Angeles and wouldn't return. When Alvarez threatened to harm Aquila, Mark calmly revealed that all of Alvarez's men had been taken down. Enraged, Alvarez ordered his right-hand man to shoot Mark. Just as the situation turned tense, the hot dog vendor and local islanders arrived surrounding Alvarez with their weapons. Mark asked everyone to lower their weapons and challenged Alvarez to a one-on-one fight to settle things for good. Alvarez reluctantly agreed. During the duel, Mark mirrored what Alvarez had done to his brother. In the next scene, Mark and Aquila shared an intimate moment on the beach, confirming their relationship and plans to marry. Phil invited Mark back to Los Angeles, but he declined, choosing to stay and protect the island from outsiders. The film ends with a moral: never spill wine on someone's dress, especially if they're secretly a mafia boss, or things could spiral out of control.